glad you guys are here. We have the Oregon Relays coming up this weekend. Oregon Relays is a different type of meet that we're going to put on and host here. And the difference that you'll see from the Pepsi is it'll be more about marks and times. We're going to try to get more qualifiers for the NCAA meet, which is there in Kansas. And so a lot of those races will have some professionals in it, and like I said, it'll be less about place and more about time distances, feet and inches, to get qualifying marks. And that's kind of how our season is set up moving forward. But other than that, there'll be lots of good events there. We'll have some former Ducks that'll come back and compete. We'll have, like I said, a few pros that will come back and compete as well. So we'll be excited and see how it goes. I guess the big thing and what kicks off the Oregon Relays is the multis events. Last year we had three guys at the NCAA meet in the multis, and so this will be their first opportunity to try to get a qualifier. So all of that'll be good.
How do you guys change up things at practices, if at all, when you're focusing more on times and not on place?
It's not necessarily that we change our focus or not. Just the tactics change a little bit. Where you may sit on somebody, where you may be waiting to kick past them the last 50 meters or so. This one is probably different because you got to go all out a lot earlier. So there is no sandbagging, there is no waiting around. You're getting after it from the beginning to get the standard.
What's your sense of the dynamic between all the decathletes and kind of how they push each other, motivate each other? Just, that you're talking about how they kind of give each other crap. If somebody's lagging in a particular event or anything like that. What's your sense of that dynamic there?
The decathlon, that multi events, they're a whole different breed amongst themselves. It's kind of a culture there. One of the traditions there is for when them to finish a competition, they all take a victory lap together. They were just trying to. It's not so much mano y mano, is more so them versus the event. It almost reminds me a little bit of golf. You're not playing your competitors, you're playing the course. Sort of the same thing here is they're playing the 10 events that they have to go about and compete in. So that's the one thing that I guess builds that camaraderie is not so much I'm gonna beat you, it's more so I'm gonna clear this bar, I'm gonna get this distance, that sort of thing. So that probably helps in building that camaraderie.
Having not seen the entries for this weekend, any events kind of jump out to you? Or anything to look forward to?
Probably the men's and women's 15 will be good. The multis will be good. Probably the 5Ks will be good. The Those are probably the ones that stand out immediately. Of course, there's going to be some other good events there. I think the 100-meter dash will be good on the men's side. Those stand out. Just glancing over the entries, I think they'll be available sometime here in the next day or so.
And you also got some of your women are heading down to Mount Sac.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want them to be able to accomplish down there?
Yeah, and the experience more so than anything. Of course, this being the Olympic year, it's always good to get them that experience and what they're going to face when they have to go through this brutal Olympic trials qualifier. So I think we're sending 8 women to Mount Sac to run there, and of course they'll run the 1, the 2, and then of course the 4x1, and then Raven and Annie will run the 8 there. Good for them to get in those rounds and be able to deal with that type of competition and see what it's like. We learned a lot when we sent Raven to Milrose earlier indoors, and she learned a lot. I guess I learned a lot as well as the coach and how better to instruct that. And so hopefully I won't be with her. I'll be here at the Oregon Relays, but hopefully that she'll get that same experience of being bumped around, because I think I looked at that field and it looks to be fairly well.
Ari came back.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said Ari came back and had a nice meet on Saturday. I think it's her first meet here since
Outdoors.
So, yeah. What's it like having her back, and how's she been looking to you?
Good. She's been looking well. She struggled a little bit indoors, and when I say struggled, she was All-American indoors in the 200, and then she didn't make the meet this year. But as far as outdoors is concerned, she ran in one meet last year before she got dinged up and hurt at spring break, to be exact. But to have her back and to have her training now and to be able to get a second outdoor meet under her belt is definitely a thrill. So, and she continues to stay the course and continue to work hard, we look for her to be a big contributor for us in the championship season.
Yeah, she mentioned that she lost some confidence in the indoor season. Do you notice that as well, and do you think that it came back after her performance on Saturday?
Well, I don't know necessarily know if the confidence came back as far as Saturday is concerned, because she'd been looking really well. We had been raving over how she had been looking for the last 10 days to 2 weeks in practice. So you can kind of see things building and building and building, and you can kind of get a sense of how she was doing while we were practicing over those days. So I guess the fruit of that labor was on Saturday. So hopefully it's one of those things that continues to grow.
You were talking about learning at the Millrose games and whatnot. What did you learn, the biggest takeaways, I guess, from the Pepsi and just moving forward for the rest of the season, not necessarily just the relays?
I don't know what we learned from the Pepsi or not. That's a whole different animal in itself. As far as green needs to be in front of all the other colors that the school is wearing. We happen to be wearing white that day, so we wanted to put white in front. But one of those things to where we're always trying to get as many qualifiers into the outdoor meet. One of our mottos and one of our slogans has been strength in numbers. And for probably the last 2 or 3 NCAA championships, we've had more competitors and more participants in that meet than a lot of the other schools. So we'll continue that mantra and trying to get as many bodies there, not only to the regional meet, but back to Eugene as possible.
Do you have an update on Waverly and where that process?
Waverly's been denied. Waverly is done. We appealed, and the NCAA deemed it that Shu is not going to be granted a 5th or 6th year.
Disappointing to you?
100%.
When did you guys get the denial?
Last couple of weeks or so. Yeah. It's been an ongoing process for forever, it seems like. Back doing indoors.